Hello, everyone, and welcome to the August edition of Price Know-How Snippets. I'm joined by our chairman, Mike Boswell, and our product manager for polyolefins in Chisnell. Mike's going to start us off by talking about some of the fundamental factors that are likely to impact feedstock prices and therefore polymer prices this month. Over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Katherine. Starting with crude oil, it's been pretty quiet actually. So prices didn't move very much between June and July. The average price went from $69.15 up to $69.25, an increase of 10 cents on average. The minimum actually went up. So in June, the minimum was $64.63, and in July it was $67.11, an increase of $2.48. There was a drop in the maximum price in June. It maxed out at 77.08, and in July it was 72.47, so a reduction of $4.61. That roughly equates to £384.20 per tonne. Probably what's been a bit more interesting has been exchange rates. And we still have this backdrop of tariffs, counter tariffs, all this type of stuff going on, and that having an impact really across the board. And it actually appears that the US economy prospects are starting to look a little bit better. And that's kind of resulted in an improvement of the dollar strength and also the euro strength a little bit. So to put that in perspective, against the euro, the pound dropped from 118 in June to 116 in July. And against the dollar dropped from 136 to 135. Or the range has been much bigger than that. And actually, I think we peaked out around about 137 against the dollar. And towards the end of the month, we've dropped down to about 133. And that 4 cents actually equates to about £66 per tonne in terms of what impact that exchange rate has. And that's going to be really interesting to see how people react to that, because that's significant and may play into polyethylene pricing going forward into August and September. So with that, I'll hand over to Ian. I'm sure we'll have more to say about feedstock and polymer prices.
Many thanks, Mike. So as Mike indicated, relatively quiet on the crude oil front, which has led to relatively quiet on the naphtha front. It's dropped a very tiny amount, and that's resulted in tinier drops in the monomers. So both ethylene and propylene dropped €10 a tonne. So ethylene C2 dropped down to €11.25 a tonne, propylene C3 dropping down to €1,005 a tonne. In terms of polymer pricing, we're recording this on the first day of August. It's a little bit early, but the strong indications are that the market will be looking for a rollover. It's still very quiet. A lot of producers in Europe are quite heavily underwater when it comes to margins. You think specifically about LDPE, it's very local for local production. And the LDPE is being sold for, in some instances, slightly less than the monomer costs. It's not really a sustainable position, so there will be resistance against any sort of drops. Also, seeing some events, Mike talked about the exchange rate, so US imports are looking to increase in price. There's also issues in terms of the cost position in the USA, and the ethylene is at really, really high levels compared to where it has been recently. So most US exporters are probably going to be looking for increases on the back of that. I've heard reports this morning that ethane is restricted in Saudi Arabia. So there's going to be less sort of production of that. And that's potentially going to look at sort of restricted availability on some of the key imports into Europe and the UK, thinking mostly about HDPE, LLDPE. So whilst I think August will be largely a rollover, we can expect to start to see a little bit of a small reversal and prices start to rise again September, October. That's mostly focused on polyethylene. So in polypropylene terms, it's a similar kind of story, but we do see probably more oversupply of polypropylene. There is some disruption to trade flows. There's disruption to logistics, and shipping is not rebounding quite in the way that some people thought. There are a few issues, so there are some delays in terms of getting all of the polypropylene that we want. And we continue to see more rationalization within the sort of European petrochemical industry on that front. So it's all pretty much as you were. Keep an eye on exchange rates, because although I'm talking in terms of a euro rollover, you should probably see some increases in pounds, but we'll see how the month pans out, and we'll see what the pressure is in terms of the supply-demand balance.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ian. As always, more information will be out around the middle of the month when we issue our full Price Know-How report. But if you do need any further information in the meantime, please don't hesitate to reach out to one of the three of us or indeed your customer service team. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much.